Good morning, everyone. This is Assistant Professor Kailesh Jaidwal, GS College of Commerce Wardha, Blowing Wings platform. Welcomes you all on the third day to BCom English Sem 1 online lecture series. And we have today with us a very loving, helpful, dynamic in-house faculty, Professor Swati Kachhale ma'am. Ma'am has completed MA English degree with NET. Ma'am has teaching experience of nearly 24 years to UG level. Ma'am has cleared Beck Vantage exam of Cambridge University and she is training UG and PG level students for the same. She has presented student centric research papers in journal, conference, and I welcome you, ma'am, and request you to proceed further.
Welcome to this class of English. I am Professor Swati Kathale, HOD, Department of English, GS College of Commerce and Economics, Nagpur. Today, as a part of this series, I am going to take the story The Lumber Room, written by Saki. Saki's full name was Hector Hugh Munro, and he wrote under this pen name of Saki. He was a British writer and has written numerous short stories and other books. This particular story, Lumber Room, is very interesting as it revolves around a young boy named Nicholas. The setting of this story is around this, it revolves around the character of Nicholas, his dominating aunt, and his cousins. These are the characters in the story. Nicholas is a young boy who is quite mischievous, and one day the story opens with a setting of the breakfast table where all the young girls and boys, the cousins of Nicholas and Nicholas himself, they are sitting around the table and having their bowl of milk and bread. Nicholas, particularly on that day, doesn't want to have that bowl of milk and bread, and he pretends to. He says to the aunt of his cousin that there is a frog in the bowl of bread and milk that he is having. His aunt doesn't believe him and says that Nicholas is just fooling around. He is pretending that there is a frog. Nicholas describes that no, there was a frog in the bowl of bread and milk that he was having, and he refuses to have that. The aunt becomes angry because she is wise and she knows that Nicholas doesn't want to have the wholesome breakfast of milk and bread, and that's why he's pretending to have a frog in the bowl. Nicholas describes the description of a frog in the bowl, that what colors the body of the frog is having, and every description he gives. But his aunt is not convinced that there is a frog in it. So, whenever any young boy or girl of the house disgraces themselves by refusing to eat the food provided, Nicholas' aunt, or the aunt of the house, the elder member of the house, she has devised a very novel way of treating that particular boy or girl, the disrespecting or the disgraceful young person. That day, she devises a plan to take all the children to the Jagborough Coves, Jagborough Sands, which is a beach, and she says that Nicholas is to stay home for his act of disgrace, for his act of shame, because he has refused to have his bowl of milk and bread. Nicholas feels very sorry for this. He also wants to go along with his cousins to enjoy the sand, the Jagborough Coves, but his aunt firmly tells him that as a punishment, he is to stay at home and he will not be carried along. He will not be taken to the sands to enjoy the ride over there. Nicholas thinks of many ways of discouraging the aunt and the other children from going to the sands. He says that Bobby's boots, his cousin, his boots are biting him. They are very tight, and so he won't be able to enjoy the ride to the Jagborough Sands. And one of his cousins, the girl cousin, she has scraped her knee, and so it might be hurting her. So she also won't be able to enjoy. The aunt says that nothing doing. All the children will go to the sands and they will enjoy at the beach. And Nicholas is not to go there. It will be a kind of punishment for Nicholas to stay at home. Nicholas doesn't like this. He feels that he is being humiliated by the aunt for not drinking the bowl of milk and bread. He feels very sorry for this, but he can't help it as he has to listen to the aunt. And his aunt also warns him that he is not to sneak into the gooseberry garden. Now this gooseberry garden is adjacent to their main house which is there, and it contains all kinds of various kinds of plants and berries, and there is a wild growth of plants over there. His aunt has warned him that he is not to go to the gooseberry garden. Going into the gooseberry garden, it has got two small gates, and Nicholas wants to sneak in there. He pretends that he wants to go into the garden, and his aunt has warned him that he is not to enter that garden. Nicholas, his aunt is keeping a strict watch on Nicholas in the garden, and Nicholas suddenly runs into that place from where he can run into the gooseberry garden, and his aunt sees him there, and she feels that Nicholas wants to enter the gooseberry garden. So she intensifies her vigil. She makes her watch very strict so that Nicholas cannot enter the gooseberry garden. Nicholas wanders there in that small place for a time, and skipping the attention of the aunt, he comes back again into the main house. He has some other plan made up, and Nicholas wants to execute that plan when his aunt is busy in the garden watching over him, whether he is sneaking into the gooseberry garden. Nicholas comes inside the house and goes to the library. Now, what plan he has in mind? What is the thing that is taking up his mind? He goes to the library and he pulls one chair and takes out one key which has been kept there on the shelves in the library. And that key is the key to the lumber room. Now, what is a lumber room? Lumber room is a storeroom where you keep all your discarded things, the things which you do not use, heavy things, but you do not dispose them of, but you keep them stored in a place. So that place is called as the lumber room, and there is a big lock on the lumber room. Nicholas always used to wonder what secrets lie in the lumber room. What is there inside the lumber room? His young and curious mind always wanted to find out that, but he never gets a chance to open up that room. Now that day he had got the chance because all his cousins had gone to the Jagborough Sands, and his aunt was there in downstairs in the garden keeping a watch over him. She feels that Nicholas is just around the corner trying to go to the gooseberry garden, and so she would not be suspicious that Nicholas is inside the house. Nicholas quickly takes that key and he goes and tries to open the lumber room door. He had practiced on opening locks, and that day, without much difficulty, the lock of the lumber room gets opened, and a whole world of treasure is now before him. His curiosity reaches to a new high, and he enters the lumber room. Now, the lumber room is dimly lit because there is only one high window which opens out into the open garden below, and in that light, a whole new world of treasures, old treasures are there before him. Nicholas feels that as compared to the delight of the gooseberry garden, the delights of the lumber room were extremely delicious, extremely amazingly wonderful, because what was there in the lumber room, in the storeroom? There were old treasures, there were old paintings, old kettles, old books with printed pictures of birds and different kinds of candlesticks and all that. It was the things which Nicholas hadn't seen in his entire life. Those things were there in the lumber room. So as soon as he enters the lumber room, he sees one big tapestry. Now, what is a tapestry? Tapestry is hand woven cloth on which some painting has been done, and so it's a long painting on cloth which Nicholas observes. And what is that painting? The painting carries the picture of a hunter with his bows and arrows behind, and he's shooting with his arrows, and he has just killed a stag. A stag is a male deer. A big male deer is called as a stag, and with his arrows he has killed this male deer. And that painting is painted. This hunter is shooting with his arrows, and the deer is dead on the ground. And there are two dogs at the side of the hunter, which are keeping a watch, which are looking at the hunter. And from behind a bush, four wolves are looking, means they are looking at the prey, that is the stag which is dead on the ground, and the wolves have the expression that now they are going to go and get that stag for themselves. So the picture has the hunter with his bows and arrows, the two dogs which are at the side of the hunter, and also the four wolves which are peeping from behind the hunter. This tapestry keeps Nicholas completely glued to that picture, and he is taken completely, like he goes to some medieval land, he goes to some old bygone days from where he had got this picture. And here he says that the man had only two arrows left in his quiver. Quiver is that round box in which you keep the arrows, and in his quiver he has left only two arrows which are there, and he might miss with one of them, and he takes quite a close shot at the stag and kills him. Nicholas sat for many golden minutes, resolving the possibilities of the scene. He was inclined to think that there were more than four wolves, and that the man and his dogs were in a tight corner. And Nicholas thinks to himself, he imagines that there were more than four wolves behind the bush who were there, and they were about to come out of their hiding and attack Nicholas, attack the hunter, and take away his prey. So Nicholas' imagination starts flowing on seeing the painting, the tapestry which is there on cloth, and he imagines this scene before his eyes, and he is taken into a different world of imagination. But there were other objects of delight and interest claiming his instant attention. So, dear students, does Nicholas only see this tapestry containing the hunter and the dogs and the wolves? No, he sees many other things which are equally interesting. So there were quaint, twisted candlesticks. So there were old candlesticks. Nicholas hadn't seen such kind of candles in his life. There were of various shapes and sizes. Quaint means unusual, different, of a different way. Like we see only candles in a straight way, but there were different shapes of the candles which Nicholas observed. They were there in the lumber room, and so they were quaint candles in the shape of snakes. So there were candles which were in the shape of a snake going zigzag like that, and a teapot fashioned like a china duck. So a teapot was not the usual teapot with a round this thing with a pout, but it was fashioned in the way of a duck which is there, and so it was a very unusual shape which he saw, and out of whose open beak the tea was supposed to come. And so, from where would you get the tea? From the open beak of the duck, you would get tea. So, that was there. And there was a carved wood box packed tight with aromatic cotton wool. So, there was a sandalwood box which was there, and there were layers of cotton wool pressed inside the sandalwood box, and between the layers of cotton wool were little brass figures, and between these layers of cotton there were tiny brass figures. Now what were these brass figures? Were they wonderful? Yes, they were very wonderful for Nicholas, because he was observing them, he was seeing them for the first time. And so there were brass figures, hump-necked bulls. So the bulls on which whose neck there was a hump. Hump is a round like kind of protruding thing which comes on your back, and so the bulls were having those hump on their necks. So there were hump-necked bulls and peacocks, and there were various types of small sized peacocks and goblins. Goblins are mischievous spirits. They are ugly looking, but they are very mischievous. And so this tiny goblin, the brass figures of those tiny mischievous spirits were there, delightful to see and handle. And Nicholas was delighted to see all these treasures from the past. Less promising in appearance was a large square book with plain black covers. And then Nicholas saw a plain book with black covers on it. Nicholas peeped into it, and behold, it was full of colored picture of birds. And when he opened the book and looked at the pictures, he was taken again into a surprising world of birds. Very strange birds which he had not seen probably in his entire life. The pictures of those birds were there inside the book. And which birds did Nicholas was able to see? And such birds! In the garden and in the lanes, when he went for a walk, Nicholas came across a few birds, of which the largest were an occasional magpie or wood pigeon. Here there were herons and bustards, kites and toucans, tiger bitterns, brush turkeys, ipsies, golden pheasants, and a whole portrait gallery of undreamed of creatures. So Nicholas, when he used to wander in the garden below, the gooseberry garden or the local garden, or in the lanes when he passed, he was able to see the normal birds, which were a magpie or a wood pigeon. So these were the normal birds which he had seen. But when he opened that book, he was able to see different kind of herons. The herons are the birds with a long beak, जिसे हम हिंदी में बगला कहते हैं. So these herons, different type of herons and bustards, kites and tiger bitterns. So these are the different kind of birds whose pictures were there in the black covered book which he opened, and he was taken into a treasure world, a dream world, where he was able to see so many pictures. And as he was admiring the coloring of the mandarin duck and assigning life history to it, the voice of his aunt in shrill vociferation of his name came from the gooseberry garden without. And as he was observing the various birds which were there in the book, and he was looking at the mandarin duck, his shrill voice of his aunt from the garden below came on his ears. She was calling his name, Nicholas, Nicholas, and giving shrill cries from the garden, calling out his name. He leaped to the conclusion that she had come to the conclusion that he had climbed over the wall behind the sheltering screen of the lilac bushes and she was now engaged in energetic and rather hopeless search for him among the artichokes and raspberry canes. His aunt below in the garden was thinking all the time that Nicholas had disappeared behind the gooseberry bushes, the bushes of lilacs and raspberries, and she was sure that Nicholas was hiding there, and she was loudly crying out his name, Nicholas, Nicholas. And Nicholas knew that time had come for him to come out of the lumber room and lock it again. Nicholas, Nicholas, she screamed, you are to come out of this at once. It's no use trying to hide there. I can see you all the time. The aunt, who was very dominating and was spying on Nicholas, she was convinced that Nicholas was in the gooseberry garden hiding behind the bushes there, and she was loudly calling out the name of Nicholas all the time, and she cried out that I can see you hiding behind the bushes there, so come out of the bushes and come in front of me. She was warning Nicholas like that. It was probably the first time for 20 years that anyone had smiled in that lumber room. So a big smile came on Nicholas' face because he was successfully able to deceive his aunt. His aunt, she was his cousin's aunt, but she pretended to be Nicholas' aunt as well and took in that position very strictly. And here Nicholas says that he was able to deceive and fool his aunt, and she was thinking all the while that Nicholas was in the gooseberry garden, and Nicholas had successfully came inside the lumber room, opened it and saw all the treasures, and he was very happy that he was able to observe all this treasure, and his aunt was not able to catch him red-handed, and he had completely seen the lumber room and the contents in the lumber room, and he was extremely happy for that. Presently, the angry repetitions of Nicholas' name gave way to a shriek and a cry for somebody to come quickly. Now, Nicholas was then heard a loud shriek. Shriek is a shrill voice, when somebody cries in pain, like when somebody is in pain, he gives out a loud hoot or kind of a noise. That is called as a shrieking noise, shrieking voice. And he now heard a shrieking voice and a cry from somebody to come quickly for help. And there was a cry for help from somebody who was desperately calling Nicholas for help. Nicholas shut the book, restored it carefully to its place in a corner, shook some dust from a neighboring pile of newspapers over it. Then he crept from the room, locked the door, and replaced the key exactly where he had found out. So Nicholas knew that his time in the lumber room was over. He was to step out of his lumber room and go to his aunt who was crying desperately for help. And he closed the book of birds that he was looking at. He dusted the dust which had settled on his body, and he came out of the room, locked the lumber room, and he placed the key where he had found out, and he came out and dashed towards the garden. His aunt was still crying, calling his name when he sauntered into the front garden. And his aunt was still calling his name, Nicholas, Nicholas, when he reached the garden. And he reached the front garden, and now he was near the gooseberry garden. Who is calling? He asked. So he asked loudly, who is calling my name? And the answer came, me. It was his aunt who had answered. Me came the answer from the other side of the wall. Didn't you hear me? I have been looking for you in the gooseberry garden, and I have slipped into the rainwater tank. Luckily, there is no water in it, but the sides are slippery and I can't get out. So his aunt replies that it's me who has come to the gooseberry garden looking for him, and accidentally she has slipped into the rainwater tank, and the rainwater tank is without water, but the sides have become very slippery and she can't get out of the rainwater tank. So there is a rainwater tank in the gooseberry garden where water is always stored. Rainwater is stored for giving water to the plants. But there was no water in it at that time, otherwise his aunt would have drowned. But there was no water in it, luckily, but the sides of the tank were very slippery, and once inside the tank the aunt couldn't come out of her own out of it, and so she was crying for help and she was calling the name of Nicholas, and she tells Nicholas, I can't get out, so you please help me coming out of this tank. I was told I wasn't to go into the gooseberry garden, said Nicholas promptly. So Nicholas tells her that, Aunt, you had forbidden me. You have disallowed me from entering the gooseberry garden, and now you want me to come inside the garden? I told you not to. Now I tell you that you may, came the voice from the rainwater tank rather impatiently. So his aunt said that I told you not to enter the gooseberry garden, but it is now I who am directing you to come inside the garden. Come to the rainwater tank and fetch me out of the tank where I had fallen. And she was very impatient now because she had fallen inside the tank and she wanted to come out of the tank. Your voice doesn't sound like aunt's, objected Nicholas. You may be the evil one tempting me to be disobedient. So Nicholas now is taking, he's delighted that his aunt learnt a lesson for disallowing him to go to the Jagborough sands, for shamefully disgracing him in the morning for not drinking the bowl of wholesome bread and milk. And so Nicholas thinks that his aunt deserves that kind of punishment that she got, and he says to his aunt that you are not my aunt who is talking, you are the evil one tempting me to come inside the gooseberry garden. You are an evil person, like he says that you are some evil who are trying to tempt me to come inside the gooseberry garden. So my aunt often tells me that evil one tempts me and that I always yield. My aunt always tells me that evil tempts you to do certain things which are forbidden, which are not allowed. So you are probably trying to push me inside the gooseberry garden, and that's why you are wanting me to come inside that. So you are an evil and you are not my aunt who is calling me. Don't talk nonsense, said the prisoner in the tank. Go and fetch the ladder. So aunt is now quite angry at the obstinacy of Nicholas, is not coming to help him quickly, and she scolds Nicholas and tells him that don't talk any nonsense. I'm not an evil, or I'm not an there is no evil over here. Go and fetch the ladder quickly to pull me out of this tank. Don't talk nonsense, said the prisoner in the tank. Go and fetch the ladder. Will there be strawberry jam for tea? Asked Nicholas innocently. Now Nicholas is taking complete advantage of the situation. He wants to take, like his aunt is in a difficult situation, and taking advantage of that, he takes out some promises from his aunt, and he says to his aunt, said, if I take out, will you do something in my favor? Would you give us strawberry jam for tea? Like we would have bread and strawberry jam during tea time. So do you agree to that? If you agree to that, then I will pull you out of the tank. Certainly there will be, said the aunt, privately resolving that Nicholas should have none of it. The aunt is very angry, but she wants to get out of the tank, and so she says to Nicholas, I will provide you the strawberry jam at tea, but now go and fetch the ladder and take me out of this tank. Privately, she decides in her mind that Nicholas will not be given any strawberry jam at tea because he is being such an impudent boy. He is not listening quickly to her demands, and he is arguing with her. And so she decides that even though I have promised him I will give him strawberry jam, I will not give him any strawberry jam. Now I know that you are the evil one and not the aunt. Now Nicholas again takes advantage of the situation and he says, I know for sure now that you are not my aunt. You are the evil one tempting me. Because first you said, come inside the gooseberry garden. Now you are tempting me with strawberry jam and you are agreeing to that. So you know that you are tempting me into all this. So you are not my aunt. You are somebody evil who is trying to do this to me, and I will not fall to your dictums. I will not listen to you because I don't want to fall to evil. Now, Nicholas is taking quite fun in all these things. He knows that his aunt is in trouble and she needs help, but he is deliberately doing that because he wants his mind takes delight because the situation has now turned on his aunt. In the morning, it was he who was at the receiving end when his aunt scolded him for not eating his bowl of bread and milk, and now it was his turn to take his I don't say revenge, but now it was his turn to play the tables, turn on the tables on his aunt, and he was taking full advantage of it. And so he was not getting the help quickly, as his aunt was saying to him constantly that go and fetch the ladder. Nicholas was just passing on time because he did not want to help his aunt immediately and wanted her to suffer because she had reprimanded him, scolded him in the morning, and not allowed to go him to the Jagborough sand. So he had become a kind of a devilish kind of boy at that time. Now I know that you are an evil one and not aunt, shouted Nicholas gleefully. When we asked aunt for strawberry jam yesterday, she said there wasn't any. I know there are 4 jars of it in the store cupboard because I looked. And of course, you know it's there, but she doesn't because she said there wasn't any. Oh devil, you have sold yourself. So Nicholas says that I know for sure now that there is no aunt inside the water tank. You are the devil, you who are tempting me, because now you are saying that I will give you strawberry jam, and my aunt told me that there was no strawberry jam inside the house. I know she was lying because I had looked in the store and there were 4 bottles of it. Now you are tempting me with the strawberry jam, and so you are a devil and you are not my aunt. So I am not going to listen to you now. There was an unusual sense of luxury in being able to talk to an aunt as though one was talking to the evil. And there was Nicholas took great delight in treating his aunt like that because he carried that anger with him, that his aunt scolded him in the morning and his aunt did not allow him to go to the Jagborough sands for a ride with his cousins. And so here was a chance for him to turn the tables on his aunt, to take a sort of revenge on his aunt, and he was taking a great delight because his aunt was discomfortable in the tank. His aunt was not comfortable, and he was happy and delighted to notice that the situation has changed and now his aunt was facing the trouble. He walked noisily away, and it was a kitchen maid in search of a parsley who eventually rescued the aunt from the rainwater tank. And ultimately, a kitchen maid, a servant in the house, she came that way, and she heard the shrill voices of aunt coming from the gooseberry garden. She went there and rescued the aunt. But Nicholas did not rescue her. He happily went inside the home without rescuing his aunt. Tea that evening was partaken in fearsome silence. The tide had been at its highest when the children had arrived at Jagborough Cove, so there had been no sands to play on, a circumstance that the aunt had overlooked in the haste of organizing her punitive expedition. That day, it was a time for high tide, and the children couldn't enjoy any time on the sands because the water of the sea had come too far inside on the sands, and the sand was all wet and they couldn't play on the sands. The aunt had overlooked this, that she had forgotten in her excitement to give punishment to Nicholas. She had forgotten that it was a time for high tide, and she sent all the children. The children couldn't, the cousins of Nicholas couldn't enjoy their time on the sands because it was high tide, and the sands were all wet, and they couldn't enjoy anything. The tightness of the Bobby's boots had disastrous effect on his temper the whole of the afternoon, and altogether the children could not have been said to have enjoyed themselves. And the Bobby, his cousin, who was wearing very tight boots, it was causing him great discomfort, it was causing him great trouble, and he had become very irritated for wearing the boots for a long time, and his temper was very high. And altogether, the children could not have been said to have enjoyed themselves. So the children did not enjoy themselves on the Jagborough sands. The aunt maintained the frozen muteness of one who has suffered the undignified and unmerited detention in a rainwater tank for 35 minutes, and the aunt suffered in silence because she got humiliated as she had fallen in the rainwater tank, and was there in the tank without help for 35 minutes. And there was a great embarrassment to her. She could not tell any of the children that she had fallen in the water tank, because she wanted to punish Nicholas for going into the gooseberry garden. And ultimately Nicholas did not suffer anything. He enjoyed the lumber room, but it was the aunt and the other cousins who faced many difficulties, and they faced discomfort when they moved, when the aunt had fallen in the rainwater tank, and his cousins they couldn't enjoy their time on the Jagborough sands because of the high tide. As for Nicholas, he too was silent in the absorption of one who has much to think about. It was just possible, he considered, that the huntsman would escape with his hounds while the wolves feasted on the stricken stag. And where was Nicholas' mind in all these things? He was still thinking about that painting, that tapestry in the lumber room, where the hunter had killed the stag, and the wolves were leaping out of behind the bushes to attack on the hunter and his two hounds, his two dogs. Whether the hunter was able to run away in time, that was what Nicholas was thinking. And he had enjoyed himself thoroughly in the lumber room, the storeroom, and had seen many things of the bygone age, of the past, like the tapestry of painting, the different kind of shapes of candlesticks, and the teapot in a different shape of a china duck, and the beautiful book which had the pictures of the birds. All in all, even though he got the punishment to stay at home, he enjoyed his time in the lumber room, the treasures he was able to observe. So this is a story, Lumber Room by Saki, wherein he delineates, where he depicts the world of a young boy, Nicholas, and how one day, out of the punishment that he gets, he discovers an amazing, wonderful world of the lumber room, the storeroom, and those who wanted to punish him, his aunt, she herself got into a tight corner, a difficult situation, when she falls into the water tank, and she is not rescued by Nicholas because he wants his aunt to face that kind of difficult situation as she had punished Nicholas in the morning. So Hector Munro has written by the pen name of Saki, has written this wonderful story revolving around the young character of Nicholas, and how one day he gets a chance to go to the lumber room, the storeroom, where this hidden world of treasure comes before his eyes, and how he wonderfully imagines so many things about which are there in the lumber room of the past. Now, dear students, this story is written from the point of view of a young boy, Nicholas. What is his perspective of looking at things? How he thoroughly enjoys himself on entering the lumber room and seeing the treasures over there, and how elder people always wants to give punish young people because they think that they are right and the young people are always wrong, and how Nicholas says proves this thing that his aunt, who was very dominating and always gave punishment to the children when they misbehaved, how she herself faces an undignified 35 minutes in the water tank, and how the situation turns on it. In a way, this story is also humorous, and it makes delightful reading. I hope all of you understood the story explained by me, and there are many words in the story which you can appreciate if you look them into the dictionary, like depraved, which means ashamed, quaint means strange or unusual or different, hounds means dogs, stag means wild deer which roams in the forest. So these are the different words which have come up, and we need to appreciate the words also and the setting of the story also to understand it in a better manner. So I hope I made some of the things in the story clear to you, and you have learned something from it. So good day to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. This lecture threw me back in nostalgia. When I was listening you, ma'am, it was like I am sitting in the classroom and attending your lecture as I was your student, ma'am, before 3 years. It was really an appealing talk. I assure that students will be really benefited by your talk. By this lecture, we learned so many things. This also has added so many new words in our diary, ma'am. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. This is Assistant Professor Kailesh Jaidwar, GS College of Commerce Vardha, Blowing Wings platform, welcomes you all on the third day to BCom English Sem 1 online lecture series. And we have today with us a very loving, helpful, dynamic in-house faculty, Professor Swati Kachale, ma'am. Ma'am has completed MA English degree with NET. Ma'am has teaching experience of nearly 24 years to UG level. Ma'am has cleared Beck Vantage exam of Cambridge University, and she is training UG and PG level students for the same. She has presented student centric research papers in journal, conference, and I welcome you, ma'am, and request you to proceed further.